Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Gio for footballbook.ca with the Week 15 picks of the 2011 NFL season. I went 2-2 again against the spread last week with my picks. You know, we make a lot of these videos, all of us who do these on Wednesdays, and by the time we actually make our bets, the lines change. For example, I took my Denver Broncos, not my Denver Broncos, but I like betting for them since Tebow's taken over. I took them when they were 3.5, but by the time I made the bet, it was a 3-point spread. Nevertheless, I'll stick with it. These picks here are so strong, I guarantee you they're going to help you take the man's money. Here they are. Our first game this week is Cincinnati going to St. Louis, where the Bengals are 6.5-point favorites on the road. Now, the Bengals are only 1-4 straight up in their last 5 games, but if you look at who they played, they've lost to Pittsburgh twice, Baltimore, and Houston. All these teams are real quality teams who are in the playoff hunt, maybe play Super Bowl contenders. The Rams are not a good team. They've only won 2 games all year, and I believe they've only covered the spread twice this year. Cincinnati has 4 road wins, and in those 4 wins, they've won by 7 points or more. They're 5-1-1 against the spread on the road, as a matter of fact. You know, the Rams have a banged-up secondary, and that's going to allow Andy Dalton and A.J. Green to hook up for a lot of big points here. The Bengals are fighting for their playoff lives. I don't mind laying the 6.5 points. Let's take Cincinnati minus 6.5. The second game we're going to look at is Seattle at Chicago, where the Bears are 3.5-point favorites at home. Chicago is really struggling on offense since they lost their quarterback and their running back. The Seahawks are on a nice little 5-1 ATS run. As a matter of fact, they're actually 8-2-1 against the spread since that tough start that they had at the beginning of the year, where they lost a close game that they were really into until the end of the game against San Francisco, and then the week after that, I believe they lost to Pittsburgh. They've won 4 of their last 5. You know, they're still not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I think the Seahawks will give a big run for Chicago, who, like I said, are struggling to score points. 3.5 points might be a little bit too much. Let's take Seattle plus 3.5. The third game we're going to look at is New Orleans at Minnesota, where the Saints are 7-point favorites on the road. Now, what you're doing is you're asking New Orleans to not only win back-to-back games on the road, but you're asking them to cover the spread back-to-back on the road. That's really tough to do, even for elite teams. The Vikings might only be 2-11, but they're probably the best 2-11 team in the NFL in the last, I don't know, 15 years. The Saints might be looking ahead next week to the game that they have against their division rivals, Atlanta. It could be a good opportunity for a backdoor cover for the Vikings here. You know, the Vikings have been shooting themselves in the foot recently in their last bunch of games. They probably could be 7-6 if they weren't so careless with turnovers and special teams. You know, Minnesota always does something silly. They always do, once a year, they'll do something stupid like last year when they went into Philadelphia on that Tuesday night game and beat the Eagles in Philadelphia, ruined a lot of people's pool picks that year. Let's take Minnesota to cover the spread here. Take Mini plus 7. And the fourth game we're going to look at, of course, it's New England at Denver. You know, Denver 6-point dogs here, despite the fact that they've won 6 straight games and 7 of 8. I go on and on about Tim Tebow, but it's not just about Tebow. That's a very good defense that New England is going to have to face this week. And let's go back to Tebow. Everyone was laughing at him. The first week he played, I think he completed 2 passes, and then he went to 5 passes or 7 and then 10. Well, last week he completed 20 passes against a pretty good defense here. The Patriots, meanwhile, don't really have a very good defense. Rex Grossman from Washington threw up about 460 yards against them. You know, New England is only 2-5 straight up versus Denver in their last 7 games, and they're only 1-3 in Denver straight up. You know how much I like Tim Tebow, and you know the drill. Let's take Denver. This time you get 6 points. Here are my 4 over-under plays. The first game we're going to look at, Tennessee's at Indianapolis. That number is 41. Have you noticed that ever since Chris Johnson for Tennessee has been starting to run the ball a lot, like he has the last couple of games, they've been on a 7-0 under run. Meanwhile, Indianapolis, who never can score points, they're 5-6 under in their last 6 games. I like the under. Let's go under 41 points in that game. Miami's at Buffalo for game number 2. That number is 42. 11 of the 13 of the Dolphins games have gone under the number, including all 6 of them on the road. Buffalo, meanwhile, 5 of their last 7 games have gone under. They fired the coach in Miami. Tony Sparano's gone. Todd Bowles, the secondary coach, is taking over, and he's a defensive-minded guy. Let's think about having very few points scored in this game. We'll go under 42. The third game we'll look at, Detroit's at Oakland. That number is 47.5. Now, these two teams are 23rd and 28th in points allowed. Meanwhile, they're 10 and 12, respectively, in the amount of points they've scored. Oakland is hemorrhaging points defensively. 5 of their 6 games have gone over, and typically Detroit tends to go over the number more often outside of their division. Let's take over 47.5. And the final game is the Monday nighter, where Pittsburgh goes to San Francisco. These are the 1 and 2 top teams defensively in points allowed. Ben Roethlisberger is hurt. He probably will play. He may be hampered, but these two teams will no doubt play under the number 39.5. So that's what we'll do there. Let's take under 39.5. Okay, here are my straight-up picks for this week. There's a Thursday nighter again. Jacksonville's at Atlanta. The Falcons will win that one easily. On Saturday, Dallas goes to Tampa Bay. Don't trust either of these two teams, but I think Dallas is a safe play here. On Sunday, Washington's at the New York Giants, and as much as the Redskins would love to spoil the New York Giants' chances of making the postseason, the Giants are a real streaky team. They tend to lose in bunches and win in bunches. They won last week. I think they'll win this week again. Let's take New York. Green Bay's at Kansas City. This is one of the games where there's a new coach playing for Kansas City. Well, honey, what's the name of the new coach for Kansas City? Yeah, like she'd know. She's from South America. Romeo Crennel, that's his name. Nice way to start off your new gig against the undefeated Super Bowl champions. Well, you know, they're still going to be undefeated. Let's take Green Bay. The next game is Miami at Buffalo. That's the other game where there's a new coach. Todd Bowles, the secondary coach for Miami, takes over. You know, Buffalo's lost 6 straight games. Let's take Miami here. New Orleans is at Minnesota. Peterson is in for the Vikings, who almost won last week. Yeah, you know, maybe again I'm a bit of a homer here, but I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings to beat the New Orleans Saints in a wildfootballbook.ca upset special. Next game is Seattle at Chicago, and you know what? I'm going to take another upset here. I'm going to take Seattle to beat Chicago. Carolina's at Houston. No upset here. Yates has done a really great job as the quarterback for Houston, who can still grab the number 2 spot in the AFC with a win. Let's take the Texans. Tennessee's at Indianapolis. You know, I want to hope that the Colts can win a game, but prudency says take Tennessee. Cincinnati's at St. Louis. I think this is going to be the biggest blowout for a road team over a home team all week. Let's take Cincinnati. Detroit's at Oakland. I don't know who to pick in this game. I think both teams are pretty evenly matched. They're dirty and they run the ball really well. For my buddy Devin's sake, let's take Detroit. New England's at Denver. You know how I feel about Denver. I think the Broncos are going to be the latest team to Tebow their opponent. Let's take the Tim Tebows here. The New York Jets are at Philadelphia. Another hard game for me to pick, but let's go with the FAGS Jets. Cleveland's at Arizona. Very easy game to pick. Take the Cardinals. On Sunday night, we've got Baltimore at San Diego. I've been saying for the last little while, stop drinking the San Diego Kool-Aid. They're really tough, though, in December. I'll give them that. But I think Baltimore's the better play here. Let's take the Ravens. And on the Monday night game, Pittsburgh's at San Francisco. One of my nephews is a Steelers fan. The other one is a Niners fan. Wow, what do I do? You know, Roethlisberger might not play. Even if he does, he will be limited. All three of Pittsburgh's losses have come against teams who are playoff bound and have good defenses, which San Francisco does. Let's take the 49ers. Okay, so those are my picks for this week. Good luck to you. And I think we're going to have a good week this week because it's my birthday on Monday, and I'm going to be watching the Monday night game knowing that I've taken a lot of the man's money. Now listen, for those of you who make these videos every week and you're worried about that your numbers are down, don't worry about it. A lot of people are busy with Christmas shopping and writing exams. And there's the new YouTube, which is causing all kinds of problems. And don't worry about that. It'll work its way out. It'll work its way through. We all like to watch the videos, at least I do. I watch every single one of them, and I try to post as many as I can on my football site, www.footballbook.ca. I glean a little bit of information off of every one of your videos, and I appreciate everyone that you do, and I appreciate every one of you who watch my video. And for all of us, to all of you, I'm Gio for footballbook.ca. Let's take the man's money.